In 2017, we got Murder on the Orient Express, which is a adaptation of the Agatha Christie novel, and it was directed by Kenneth Branagh, and it was fine. I didn't love it. I wasn't blown away by it. The acting was good. The plot was fine. It had its twists, but it didn't really hit home for me. And when I watch Kenneth Branagh's latest film, which is another adaptation of an Agatha Christie novel starring the same, heroic detective Hercule Poirot, this movie is completely different. And I finally understand why I didn't like that first film. So let's talk about Death on the Nile. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. So for me, Kenneth Branagh has kind of been a hit or miss director. I saw Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit shortly after that came out and thought it was fine. It didn't stick out in my mind at all. It was kind of the same thing with Murder on the Orient Express. I remember the film. I remember, it being an ensemble cast. I remember the twists and the turns and how the movie ends. But it didn't resonate. Nothing stood out for me. When he did Thor, I think that movie is actually super duper underrated. I think it's actually one of the better Marvel movies. I think Tom Hiddleston's performance as Loki is the best version of that character in any of the Marvel films. I think the scene between him and Anthony Hopkins' Odin in that movie is one of the best pieces of acting in all of the Marvel films, and one of the greatest comic book scenes ever made. And when Loki finds out that he's a frost giant, I think that movie is super duper underrated. So Branagh kind of makes me want to pull my hair out sometimes because he can do these amazing films and get these incredible performances out of his actors, but then he makes this middling crap, and I don't know what to think, because it's like, dude, I know you're super capable of making amazing movies. Why can't you do it more often? And so knowing what I knew about Murder on the Orient Express and coming into this movie, I felt like I was kind of set up for disappointment based on Branagh's history. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I loved this movie. I think this movie is superior to the last film in every single way, shape, and form. And the reason being is that this movie has characters that actually resonated with me. And I think that's what's missing from some of these other Branagh films. That's what I love about Thor. And that's what I love about this movie. I didn't care about anybody in Murder on the Orient Express at all, including Branagh's, lead character, Hercule Poirot, the Belgian detective. And in this movie, he gets a backstory, and he has like a slight love interest, and he has relationships with these characters that actually mean something. And it's a credit to the script and to Branagh's direction that he actually manages to craft a story that has characters and a story that I care about. Case in point, Gal Gadot and Tom Bateman's character Book and everybody in this movie. Russell Brand gives like a super duper understated performance that's very low key and kind of right on the money. And Annette Bening's character, all of these characters in this movie simply work. And I'm having a hard time explaining why, but it's because it's a combination of things. It's the performances, it's the directing, and it's the story. And those are three things that are really important when it comes to making movies. And in all of the ways Murder on the Orient Express didn't work, Death on the Nile simply does. And yeah, I think this movie is great. I love the ending. I love the establishing scene in the beginning, which is like filmed in black and white and super cool. And I just think this movie, in every way, shape, and form, is fantastic. And it got kind of, mediocre-ish reviews. It got kind of the same reviews that Murder on the Orient Express did. But I don't think these movies are even remotely in the same category. I think this movie is a vastly superior film, and I'm really interested to see what happens with the sequel because they're going to make another movie, and I don't know if he's going to adapt And Then There Were None, which has an original title that I literally can't even say on this channel because I will get the channel banned immediately if I say the name of the original Agatha Christie novel. But they're going to move forward with that, and I'm super excited. This movie, the trailer came out, and that was the first I'd have heard of it. I had no idea they were making a sequel, and I adore this film, and I think you should check it out because it rules. Thank you so much for watching the review. If you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, consider subscribing. You can also like and share it. That tells the powers that be that it's worth promoting. And hit me up in the comments. Follow me on my social media at RealHometownZero on Instagram, and let me know what you think in the comments. Would love to know, do you think this is better than last film? Is it worse? Am I wrong? Is this movie trash? And I'll see you next Wednesday at 9 a.m.